Hello, my fellow meeples. We're back at it. I'm Roberto, your host of Countdown to Launch, where we talk about upcoming Kickstarters and we have conversations with designers or developers of upcoming Kickstarter board games. Today, I know I've been gone for a little bit, but today we have someone to talk about their game. We're going to have Derek Sheridan on with us today to talk about his upcoming game, Battleground Brawl. So wonderful to meet you, Derek. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, I've just finished my day job, so like it's been a quite a long day for me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to talking about the game.
Excellent, excellent. So to get us started, tell us more about yourself and your game.
Yeah, so I live in Ireland, and I've always loved all kinds of games, board games, video games, everything. But I've only really got into the whole the hobby side of board gaming more outside the more mainstream type games that everybody knows and grew up with, like Monopoly and Risk and stuff like that. The hobby side of things is something that's really grown for me over the last 2 or 3 years. And then I was like, how my game came about was I was playing Super Smash Bros on the Wii U, yeah, and like my internet kept cutting out. I was trying to get a good game going, trying to get a good buzz, just sitting there relaxing for the afternoon, but the internet kept cutting, and I was getting more and more frustrated. So I ended up throwing that controller down, going up to my PC, which the room that I'm in now at the moment, and I had my board game sitting over there, just to my left, and I was gonna jump on the PC and start doing something there. I looked at the board games. I still think about my frustration with the internet cutting out for Super Smash Bros. I was like, I don't have a game like that, so I'm gonna see if I can make one like that. Something that gives you the feeling of when you're playing Super Smash Bros. Of it being frantic, hectic, non-stop action. You're smashing people across the screen. You can fall down to your death and respawn somewhere up the top and come back in, pick up crazy ammo or crazy weapons and stuff like that can power ups. So I figured if I don't have anything like that, I'll look to see if I could find anything like that. And there's a load of card battler games out there, which is what Battleground Brawl is essentially, because it's hard to mimic the a video game without some sort of it's going to have to be turn-based.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking online. There's a load of card battlers, but nothing with the same aesthetics, nothing with the same kind of mechanics that I was thinking of in my head. So I sat down with a piece of paper and a pen. I started writing down what I wanted to do. It was like, I know the characters have to be able to move. I know that gravity is going to be an issue if they're not standing on a platform at the start of their turn. I knew that I wanted it to be asymmetrical powers, and every character will have their own deck. I didn't want to do like a deck builder or anything like that, because the characters had to have their own personality. You weren't building them as you go, but you could find a lot of variety. Every person out there could probably find one character that they really want, and that's their favorite and stuff like that. So it just like with Super Smash Bros. Like I'm always, whenever I play any Mario type game, I'm always Toad. I don't go for like the Bowsers or the Marios. I'm always Toad. I like Toad. But yeah, so that's how the game came about. It's frustration with internet issues and the fact that I didn't have a game like that and I couldn't find one to buy.
That's cool. I like to be Yoshi personally. I fight people. I will fight you if you take Yoshi. I'll unplug your controller, or make sure to hit B, or make sure you unselect it, unplug. I'm Yoshi at all times. Don't.
All right, there'll be no clash between you.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I really enjoy how you have. I mean, what's the saying? Modern problems require modern solutions. Right. So the internet's cutting out. You are looking at your board games. Like, how do I get this? How do I scratch this itch that I have of wanting to play Super Smash? That's fantastic. And with this, for me, one of my questions that I really like to ask is mechanics versus theme. So this one, clearly you had a mechanic in mind over the theme.
Yeah. So I had the aesthetics first. I knew what I wanted it to look like a Super Smash Bros. Game, but so it's still in 2D, but rather than like the most of the other card battlers or fighter type games that I could find out there, you were minis or standees, and you were standing on like a base, and you could just go left, right, forward, or back. You couldn't go up and down. I knew I wanted the aesthetic to be up, down, left, and right.
Okay.
So then once I had that, I was like, okay, now I need the mechanics of how to do that. And I was like, so I decided, like, if I just give every character a base movement stat, and then let's say we could go action points from there, and you can use a certain amount of action points to move, or it's just you can always move on your turn type thing. And I figured for it to be more frantic and to have the feel of playing Super Smash Bros., like, you have to be able to move every time. There's a lot of movement involved in that game. You're going to have to be able to move whenever you want, basically on your turn for this. And then from there, it was about how do I keep up the, like, how does a turn look? How does a battle look between two characters? And this changed a fair bit from the start of the design up until what it is currently. So originally, it was if you move over to another player's character, you can engage in battle with them, which means that, like, if you go before them, then they can't move on their turn because they're engaged, and it's just a straight, I play this card, you play that card type thing, and that resolves when everyone's played their cards, they resolve simultaneously. So you don't know what the other player is going to do, and there's a bit of strategy involved in it. But then that brought back to the issue of I wanted everyone to be able to move. I wanted it to be frantic. I wanted people going all around the board. And if I had this situation where people were locked in a battle, by the time it came down to the next person's turn, they'd just lock in with the same person again, and it was very static. So now the way it works is I decided that, like, turn order will still go and you can still declare someone as a target, but that doesn't stop them from being able to move. If they're going after you or they're going 5 turns later, they're not stuck there. They can go off and they can find someone else. If a power-up happens to be randomly put in a location on the board, they don't have to re-engage with you. They can go and try and pick up that power-up and then come back after you. So it gives it more of the feel of the game, the Super Smash Bros. Game, but still with very much board game mechanics.
That's awesome. I'm actually curious to know. I mean, you look at your shelf. You're looking for a game. What was your journey like to become a game designer? From looking and wanting that game. Did you reach out to certain game designers? Did you read any publications on how to make your game come to life?
My cousin is a game designer. He lives over in the US, and I knew that he was doing all of that at the time as well. So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I've got an idea. Have you got any resources? Do you know where I could look?" He pointed me out to a load of Facebook groups. From those Facebook groups, I found even more. And then I just started asking questions to people in those groups. I was bouncing ideas off him about what he thought would work and what wouldn't work. So he gave me a lot of feedback. And the groups that I've joined, like the Board Game Design Lab community, Card and Boards, Game Designer Guilds, a load of Kickstarter groups as well, even though I haven't launched the Kickstarter, I'm still far out, and I feel like it was good for me to join those groups real early as well, because I learned a lot about how to set up a Kickstarter, not even just run one, how to set up a Kickstarter and what the best practices and stuff like that are from that. So it started off with my cousin, and luckily I had him as a resource there. But when I joined all these groups, it was the wealth of knowledge that people have out there. And everyone is so helpful and friendly. And if you've got a question, like, the answer is given to you within, like, say, 20 minutes of it being posted up, no matter, like, whatever group you're in. And then I fell into the trap when I was doing this as well of what if someone steals my idea? This comes up a lot, and like, I think I actually asked that in one of the groups as well, and someone went, "Oh, this again." I was like, "Oh, sorry," but they were like, "Nobody's gonna steal your idea. Like, your idea is worth the paper it's written on, or probably even less than that. Everybody's got their own stuff going on. So if you need help, the best thing you can do is talk about it. If you want to get your game out there, you're gonna need to talk about it, because you have to build your audience and you have to let people know that the game actually exists and will be coming soon." So yeah, but Facebook groups really helped with the development. And then as I was designing the game, I was looking at the other games I had on the shelf, and then I was looking at Kickstarters that were in there, and I was looking at other games that I could buy, and what specifically for games that I didn't have a mechanic already. So I didn't have a push your luck game. I went on Kickstarter. I found a great one called Valiant Wars that launched last year. It's now become one of my game group's favorite games. I didn't have that many take that games. I didn't have any hidden movement games. So I went and I bought a couple of those. So yeah, it was just building that out and then playing as many different games as I could, getting to know mechanics that I wasn't familiar with. And then that would hopefully then help me with going on to design mine.
That's cool. That's cool. I like the So I think we all love to play games, but having an excuse to buy games is probably the coolest thing I'll hear today. Like it's research. I swear it's research.
That's how my wife calls another game. I'm like, research.
Yeah. It's only an expansion. It's like the 5th expansion, but it's still research. Absolutely.
I've got to the stage now because she knew when I started backing Kickstarters, because that was only about a year and a half ago that I actually started getting into that. Usually I just buy the games from Amazon, or if I was in town, I'd buy a game here. But now that it's been a year and a half, if a new game arrives, I'm like, I bought that a year ago. And she knows it's my money and stuff like that, and she knows that I've sorted out storage space. I've got myself Kallax shelves for the first time and stuff like that. So I'm putting everything in there, and then she plays with us like board games with us as well. It's not that she's anti board game or anything like that. It's just when another one arrives, she goes, "Oh, you're gonna have to store them in the attic." No, I'm getting her a shelf.
Yeah, if you put them in the attic, then we gotta do temperature control. We gotta make sure it's nice and good up there because these board games are investment.
Right.
Yes. So when you play your game, when you play Battleground Brawl with your group of players, have you played it? Is this your core group of play testers?
Yeah. So myself, my wife, my older sister, and my younger brother are the main group that we play. And then I designed it as a 1 to 8 player game. Solo was very important to me, so I had that in my mind that I wanted this to work out in AI for it. So I've been doing, whenever I play test on my own, that's the mode that I do. And then I knew I wanted it to be like Super Smash Bros. Brawl. You could have so many other people on the field. I knew I wanted to go up to 8. But my core group is just those 4. So it's sometimes we'll take 2 hands and we'll play it like a 2v2 v2v2. Sometimes we'll take 2 hands and play a free for all. So we'll act like they know that it's play testing. It's not playing to win, it's playing to find faults, and it's playing to find issues. So they know they have to eventually at some point attack themselves if they're playing two-handed. But yeah, so every time we meet up, we try and meet up at least once a month, sometimes more, but like life gets in the way, and we're in Ireland here, we're basically on a full lockdown for the last 18 months, like sorry. So it was a bit of a struggle to meet up. So when Tabletop Simulator went on a deal there a while back, it goes on a deal so often that I can't remember when it was. But I bought a pack of 4 licenses so that I could give those each one as well, so that we can do it virtually. So that helped speed up the process of getting some playtests done. And then if we can get any more, to join us, we do. So there was another time that another brother of mine came over with his girlfriends. One of my other sisters came over, so we had like 7 there. We nearly had a full 8-person game.
Nice.
And they know, as I said, they know that it's playtesting. It's not playing to win. It's playing to find out if it works and what's fun and what's not fun about it. So each time we do a test, I say we probably go about 20 to 30 minutes, and I'll take notes about what they're enjoying and what they're not enjoying, go back and tweak it, and then I'll incorporate that into the solo mode as well, especially if it's a better idea for what I was already running with. So yeah, it's been challenging because of COVID, but it's been a lot of fun as well at the same time.
How has your design evolved? Has there been within playtesting? I'm assuming you see like glaring holes, but now that you're far into it, is it it's more tight of a game for you that you're enjoying to play it a little bit more? And I don't even think that's fair to say. Let me rephrase that. Has there been overpowered characters and you're like, okay, I really got to tweak this out? Or was there something that you just knew wasn't working? Or someone that maybe had to make a cut and is an expansion character because maybe it's not working well with the other players you've created?
Yeah, there was certainly balance issues. Like I've always been good at math, so but at the start I was putting everything into Excel spreadsheets, and I was running automated formulas so that I could just hit refresh, and it'll tell me who would win in a matchup going based on the card strengths and stuff like that. It would randomly draw the 2 cards for each people so I can match up. But then when I hit the table with that, I found that like there's no substitute for player strategy. Like you got no computer, no Excel is going to be able to say to you, "Oh yes, this is almost perfectly balanced. You can run with this," because there's going to be differences in player style. Someone might play a character aggressively, and that character, even if I didn't realize it, was meant to be played aggressively. So they're going to just destroy anyone else because that's an overpowered strategy. So I had to reel that in. Sorry. And then the other main thing that changed was, let's see. The main thing that changed was originally my cards were, because I hadn't found an artist at this stage, so I was doing just the basic design in GIMP. It's kind of like the free Photoshop software, and it was big blocks of text. And I knew I didn't want big blocks of text in the final cards, but I wanted it to be a certain amount because I wanted to be able to explain what each of the actions were. And one of the characters, for example, he's a gunslinging cowboy dragon. And one of his special moves, because every character has their special moves as well. So one of those was, the text on the card was, your opponent goes to one end of the platform you're standing on, you go to the other end of the platform, and then both of you roll the die to see who, like, essentially playing a game of pistols at dawn. And then that would do a high amount of damage and knock back the loser as well. So not only do you take a lot of damage, you fall off the platform you're on, you have to try and recover on your next go. And then because it's his special ability, he got a little bit of a boost to his die roll. So it was... he got a +5 to give him a better advantage. But I decided a couple of playtests later that I wanted to switch over to have the cards be basically text-free.
Okay.
So the only text on the cards now are the title of, like, the name of the card. And there was no way that I could think of icons that were, you go to this end of that platform, you go to that end of the platform, and roll off to see who does the most damage. So the ability is still called High Noon at the moment, and he still has a way of having a duel, but because it's all done based on icons now, it necessitated a bit of a change.
Okay.
And there was a fair amount of other cards like that in pretty much all the characters' decks where it just wouldn't work with symbols alone. And if I was moving away from the text, I needed to change them up. I've tried to keep the power level the same because at that time I'd already done a lot of balancing. So keeping the power level the same, but changing the way the ability works was another challenge. And I've got it to a place now where it works, it's fun, it does what it's supposed to do. So a few more tweaks. I might then open up the tabletop simulator version for people in the board game groups to try out and give me their professional feedback, I suppose, because the best way that I find to get it. Now, I have a very honest family, so when something sucks, they tell me it sucks. I still find the best way to get honest and open feedback is people you don't actually know, people who you've had conversations with and maybe have helped give you some ideas already about it, and then if they want, they can then take it and play it on Tabletop Simulator and give me some more feedback based on the design.
I have two mechanics questions for you. After hearing you talk about this, the special move, is that a card or is that a lead up to get the special move?
1 second. Let's go back to the window. It's a card. So every character has a deck of 26 cards, and then like it cycles through. So it's deck of 26. Then you draw a hand of 5. You choose which card you want to do. It resolves in a kind of advantage, disadvantage, or rock paper scissors type system. So it's still revealed at the same time, and it's still a 1v1 battle for the most part. But yeah, so there's out of those 26 cards, there's 2 special abilities. None of the cards repeat themselves, so everything is unique to that deck. There's 3 light attacks, 3 medium attacks, 3 heavy, 3 grapple, 3 ranged. One of those ranged being a kind of a special ranged attack as well. And then there's dodge abilities, block abilities, heal abilities, and then the 2 special attacks.
That's cool. I can appreciate when I play Super Smash. Actually, I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't played Super Smash in a long time. I played it for the Switch, and my brain just melted because there's so much going on that all I do is button mash and hope for the best. Right? So I can appreciate just having 5 cards in front of me and getting that feeling of playing a game like that, and it makes more sense to my brain. The other question that I had was about gravity. Now, do you have like a second? Is it going to be a dual layer board, or how does gravity come into play?
Well, because like the aesthetic is that it's going to look like it's 2D and you're facing the screen, but obviously it has to lay flat on the board. Yep. So the tokens, it won't be minis. It's just going to be cardboard or maybe wooden. I haven't decided the material.
Stretch goal, maybe? Stretch goals?
Stretch goal. Screen printed wooden tokens just lying on their back. And then they flip over, so your character can be facing to the left. If you flip it over, it's facing to the right. Okay. So you know which way you're going to be facing on the board. Though. Gravity works in such a way that if you start your turn and you're not standing on one of the platforms that are available, like placed at the start of the game, then you have to drop by a certain amount of squares. At the moment, it's 4, and then you can only move left and right based on the number of squares you've dropped. So you can't automatically save yourself by just going, oh, well, I'll move horizontally and get back on the platform. You have to drop, move, drop, move, drop, move.
Okay.
So that you have a chance to recover, but it's not just a straight fall either. You can still go. But it's not an automatic recovery. Okay.
It makes sense because, I mean, in that game, you got to kind of figure out a way to get back to the platform if you're falling off. Right.
No, so I know in Super Smash Bros. They do have like an in-air jump type of mechanic as well. As like, I don't know how I'd do that where you can only do it one turn and not do it a turn after. I might figure it out. I might go back to the chalkboard on it, especially for the mode where there's a King of the Hill mode, which is most like Super Smash Bros. And that's the more damage you've taken, the further you get knocked back. So I might have it for that mode only, that if you're knocked back a certain amount, you can do one in-air jump, and then that's it. The rest is just relying on gravity and you trying to get back to a platform. Maybe.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah. I do have another question here for you. You've been designing this game for quite some time. Has there been other games, other mechanics that you've taken out of this game to potentially put in another game? Is there another game that you're thinking about creating while during this design process?
Yeah, I've got 2 other games that I'm working on at the moment because as like a lot of the mechanics and the balance for Battleground Brawl is done, and I'm waiting on my artist now to get me all the he's got the card backs done, he's got the characters done, he's got the board done, the platforms, the power up tokens, the status tokens, all of those are done. So now it's just the card faces themselves. So while I'm waiting on him, there's 2 other games that I'm working on. They're still in the very early stages of development, but they're very different. So there's no mechanics that I took from Battleground Brawl and brought into the other one because one of the other ones. Because again, it was a situation where I was looking at myself and saying, I have a hankering to play a game like this, but I don't have a game like this. And then going and doing some research on Board Game Geek and like Google and stuff like that, and saying, well, I can't find a game like this either. So then developing a game like that.
Cool. And what has inspired those? Do you have a theme for these games yet?
One is a tower defense game.
Okay.
I haven't really themed it, so like it could be. I know it's very overdone, but zombies trying to get your characters, and they're all in a school trying to defend themselves from the school, or space aliens trying to attack a spaceship type thing. Like a lot of the themes. You hear people say they're overdone, but if it works, it works. So
if it works, it works. Exactly.
When I there's a reason why they're overdone, is because they're popular as well. So as I get the mechanics for that one going a bit more, I'll think of a theme and I'll try and make it unique. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. As I run the idea by other people, maybe they'll have something that's not zombies or not space aliens. So hopefully I'll have some creative types in my inner circle who'll go, oh no, can't you do this instead? I'm like, yes, I will do that instead.
Cool. So you are a little bit of ways from a Kickstarter launch.
Yeah.
Do you know when that may come to light? And then followed by, do you have any ideas on how you're going to market your game?
So I'm aiming for sometime in the summer of next year, but might push that back a little bit, depending, because Gen Con is always around now, isn't it? And I want to hit a few board game conventions as part of the marketing. Gen Con being arguably the biggest one. So I want to hit a few of those as much as I can, because living in Ireland, it's probably going to be hard to get to the bigger ones in the States. There's a couple of ones in Europe as well that would be easier for me to get to. But as part of the marketing strategy, that would be a main thing. If I don't hit as many conventions early next year as I'd like, I might push the Kickstarter back a little bit to the fall of 2022. But it will be kind of Q2, Q3 2022 when I'm aiming. And then as part of the marketing strategy, other than going to conventions, it's just getting my game out there and starting to talk about it more. Like I've talked about it a bit, more so a couple of months ago when I was trying to get help on the mechanics and stuff like that, or trying to get help on ideas. I haven't really been talking about my own game on the Facebook groups since then. I've been more so helping other people's if they have any questions or anything like that, because the knowledge that I've got from people within these communities, even though I haven't run my own Kickstarter, I feel like I can at least parrot that back to other people who have the same questions that I did when I joined. So yeah, getting the game out there would be the main one. As I said, I've got it on Tabletop Simulator, so once I've got that polished and I've got the artwork and stuff like that up there, I'll start sharing that among people. I'll have it out there so that people can play it on their own. There'll be a link to the Kickstarter on a tablet in the in tabletop simulator, so that when people open it up, they can find out that the Kickstarter page is already up, because the Kickstarter page is there. There is a preview available. I set it up probably about 6 months ago, knowing that I wasn't launching for another year, because I've got a basic image and I put in some of the text and stuff like that, just to get it up. And I was like, I'll let that grow organically, because organic growth to me is the best growth. But I am also putting aside, obviously, a marketing budget as well, so that when it comes time, I'll run Facebook ads. I'll try and get a banner ad on Board Game Geek or something like that, and I'll see what happens with that. But I want to do more organic growth and organic marketing than paid, because the conversion rate for the paid is not as good, from what I heard.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah. Well, I'm absolutely looking forward to following this game. It seems super unique, and if I could play it on Tabletop Simulator, I'm excited to play it once you put it out there.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you a shout once it's there.
That's fantastic. I like to hear that. It sounds like also we're going to be having another one of these conversations here. But before we actually finish up, do you want to tell us where we can find you on social media?
Yeah, so Twitter at Battleground Brawl, Instagram at Battleground Brawl. I think there's an underscore in one of those. Facebook, Battleground Brawl. Basically, anywhere that you can search for Battleground Brawl, it's there. If people go to my personal profile, all of the links are at the top of my bio as well, so it's easier, like, because as I said, I don't know which one has an underscore. But all the links are in my bio on my personal page, and I've got a public profile, so they should be visible to anybody there. And yeah, if people want to follow, I'm more than happy for that.
Excellent. Like and follow this campaign. It's going to be fantastic. Derek, I'm excited that we had this opportunity to chat about your game. And again, I really feel like we're going to be doing this again. But sir, until we do this again, happy gaming.
Thanks for the chat, and I can't wait I'll get the link out to you as soon. You'll be the first one to know when it goes out.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for the time.